Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, guys, to everyone else watching, though. Good evening, and welcome to the seventh episode of F Tier Podcast. So, our podcast might be F Tier in your books, but we're here pretty much to showcase all kinds of anime and video games that we enjoy here. So, if that further ado, I hope you guys enjoy this talk show, and hope you guys find this entertaining for that matter. And for those of you guys who pretty much have not started on the animes or played the video games that we will be mentioning in our topics, we recommend if you like to avoid being spoiled to tune back in about 30 minutes from now, give or take. Or if you're watching this on YouTube, just skip to the appropriate timestamp. To kick off this show, as your host, I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Kazo. I watch a variety of anime in my spare time when I'm not too busy at work. I love making awesome streaming content like this and also playing fighting games for the most part at this point. To my right on my screen, you will see Thicc Churro. He loves watching anime and love trying out new video games, one such as Tekken 7 if he had not installed it yet. So please be sure to hope, and the fact that I hope I get to see your Negan anytime soon. Please show some love to our viewers, please.
Hey guys, how's it going? I am excited to be here for the seventh. Well, not me, the seventh time, I guess, but it's already episode 7. I did miss one. I missed one. But holy shit, 7 episodes already. It's been 7 great weeks, and I'm excited to do another one.
Awesome. And to the right of him, we have Bad Rice. He loves to play video games and loves to watch anime as well. So if you're looking for another anime recommendations, please look no further than Bad Rice. Give it up, please.
Hello.
Now,
Hello.
hello.
Short and sweet.
You got it?
Okay. Perfect.
Awesome. And to the right of him, we have our beloved MTG local champion and possibly national champion in the works, hopefully.
Oh.
Offbeat Hero. He loves to watch anime. Aside from that, he also plays video games as well. Say hi to the viewers for us, please.
Hello, I am Offbeat Hero. 7 episodes. Wow, this is already flying by. This is a big lucky episode. I had no idea, but it seems like just yesterday we had our first episode. So it's cool that we're already at 7. Hey, right?
Yeah. I mean, not only that too. It's like we're pretty much going at a consistent rate. We have like a lot of people coming in to bring out some suggestions, and I'm pretty much stoked for what things to come by for future episodes for sure.
And it was just last episode that we made Offbeat Hero or official crew member.
Yes, sir.
So,
part of the roster.
Part of the roster now.
No longer on the bench.
You're a team all-star at this point, man. That's it. All right, and finally we have our honored guest with us today under Milla. Not only that she watches anime such as Natsume's Book of Friends, she also plays video games like the Tales series, and one being Tales of Symphonia, which is her favorite. If you need any help taking on any boss, please ask away. Say hi to the viewers for us, please.
Hello.
Alrighty.
Nice and simple.
I love it, yeah.
I love it. Just straight to the point. Just say hello.
And then just let's start the topics, man, at this point. So, as I will pass off the torch to our moderator, Offbeat Hero. Take it away, please.
Oh, yes. So, we're at episode 7 here. We're in week 3 of the... we're in spring, right? This is the
this is the spring season now.
Sometimes I get confused because like the winter anime season like ends like in the spring. I mean that makes sense to normal people, but I can't remember in my head sometimes. But yes, we're in week 3 of the spring anime season. There's still lots of shows coming out. We're still trying to figure out. I think most of us, as well as you guys out there, watching live or later on YouTube, are still figuring out what shows are worth watching and worth keeping up with. Because I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I don't have time to keep up with every single show. I gotta eventually nail it down to like 3, maybe 4.
Right.
So we're gonna revisit a classic topic that we've been chatting about the past couple of days. Is your weekly impressions for the past week. So Bad Rice, what have you been watching? What have you been enjoying? Seen any new first episodes, or which third episode do you think of a show is keeping you around? Because I know I think a week or 2 back we talked about like what our cutoff line was for how many episodes it took for us to drop an anime, and I think a lot of people are at 3 since the common average. So this is for a lot of shows, a make or break week. So yeah, Bad Rice, what do you think?
Well, Offbeat Hero, I said to myself last week, I'm finally gonna watch Skate Infinity, and I'm finally gonna watch
Nice.
Shaman King and Megalobox. And the first second I turned on Megalobox, Funimation had no subs. And I looked at
Ooh.
the
Japanese dude?
and I
Come
just
on.
knew it was a sign. So instead, I watched Odd Taxi instead.
Nice.
I watched Odd Taxi, Tokyo Revengers, and To Your
Yeah.
Eternity, as well as Boku no Hero. And just a few comments on some. Boku no Hero was it was an alright episode. It's just same old formula, kind of fun, kind of good. Some good aspects, some boring aspects. Not much to say about it. But moving on to Your Eternity. Now that show is I get that weird, kind of aura when I watch that show where I just feel like it's gonna get like everything, like you just can't trust anything when you watch that show. And as a result, like, that one's shaping up to possibly be pretty good, but it could also drop the ball at any point in time. Odd Taxi, holy fuck. Let me tell you about Odd Taxi. Now that show is just weird.
How weird
It's
is
odd,
weird?
right?
It's just okay.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna start off with it's a weird
It's in the
story.
title.
It's a weird it's weird pacing. It has
Mhm.
weird plot holes.
Oh,
It has weird unexplained shit happening, and like you're just sitting there as like the audience, and you're trying to figure out what the fuck is going on. But it's just weird. And then the animals are talking about like what it'd be like to like get it with each other. You see a monkey like hitting on like a cat, and you got like a llama with a walrus, and it's like, yo, this is just weird, dude. I have friends who are furries, but this is just weird for me.
Dang, a lot of
This ain't no B-star stuff. This is just weird.
See, I
Yeah, the cross
also
mix.
checked out Odd Taxi, and I like it a lot. I think it's fun.
oh,
You like
Did
it?
you?
I do. I thought it was very fun. It's something got me hooked, and yeah, as Better said, it is weird. It is a little bit strange. It's not your traditional anime. It reminded me a lot of like British television with that kind of like very dry, like deadpan, flat humor to it.
Oh, okay.
Which I mean, I love that shit. So immediately I was like, this is pretty funny,
Yeah, you know what? Forget Bad Rice. He's old. He's jaded. He's
he's old.
I respect everyone's opinions to be wrong. So, with that being said, I thought the newest episode of Boku no Hero was fantastic. I don't give a shit if it's the same formula. It's just cool to watch, man. And I'm gonna stick out to it. And I also watched the third episode of Bird and Cavati. And
Nice.
let me tell you, it feels like a very slow burner. Like, not in the sense that you have to invest a lot of episodes to get into it, but in the sense that like they haven't even played a fucking match. Or like even talked about matches. They're just like explaining the game still and explaining like what goes into it, and they're taking their time with it, and you learn, and it's starting to make sense. I'm starting to understand how the game is played, and it's good. I don't know. I like it. It's good. I will continue on watching Burning Cavati.
I like the fact that even with that Burning Kabaddi, they're at least showing like different strats how to attack and approach when playing the game. So it's nice, nice.
Yeah, so
Yeah,
me and Milla just watched actually today the second episode of Burning Kabaddi,
Oh,
and let me tell you, it's not doing it for me.
No.
The show is just, I mean, this episode in particular, like there were some good parts, but I feel like a lot of it just like fell flat. There's a lot of like weird like gay jokes in it, and they just like didn't land for me. I'm like, oh, they're making I was like, this is kind of weird. I don't know. It felt like that dude in high school who makes like overly like gay jokes to make himself look more straight. You know what I mean?
oh, jeez.
It's just so it just felt kind of weird watching. I was like, I don't know. These jokes is kind of just so like low hanging fruit. It's like, oh, they go up to the door and they're talking about like just the tip or whatever, and I'm like, oh my god, really?
Yeah.
You're like, this is what you're going for. This fucking like super low hanging fruit humor, but there are some okay bits. I liked the ending bit where they went on their like little like shop thing. I thought that was pretty like wholesome. There were some nice moments there, but I mean overall, I also just can't get behind the main character guy. He just doesn't do it for me. What did you think there, Milla?
Yeah, I'd say my biggest problem with it compared to other sports anime is the characters. Like, I don't remember really anything about them. I don't remember their names. I don't know what they care about. Like, there's like no really stakes really yet at this point. The main character, sure, he's like sort of inspired by the sport, but yeah, it's not like a Haikyuu or what else? Even like Kuroko no Basket, where like I don't know what goals the characters have, so I'm not invested.
Right.
I'm not interested.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it was fine for me. I felt like Kabaddi is just like excessively medium. It's just like it's so medium. It's just right there in the middle. Like it's not bad, but it's not really good either. It's just like
I don't know. I feel like a lot of like sports animes, like the real substance is in the matches, right? Like when there's stakes and you got like that last second basket or the final spike, the final point, right? So I'm interested to see what they do in Kabaddi because I have no idea how many rounds I've played. I have no idea how, like, I know how the point system works. I don't know how many rounds are played, so I don't know how they'll do that. But, I'm still interested.
Right.
Haikyuu is a bit different because they, like, first of all, they started off their matches pretty early on, and the stakes were there, like, pretty off the bat. Like, Kageyama doesn't get to be a setter, or, like, there's bragging rights between beating other teams, and you could really feel like each player like kept that in mind when they played. But like, would you be able to say like Burning Kabaddi is missing on that level of setup?
I think so, actually, yeah. Because like when you watch, I mean, I'm by no means a sports anime watcher. I've watched pretty much exclusively Haikyuu and I guess, if it counts, Chihayafuru. But it's, I guess, the thing that sticks up for me that makes Kabaddi less interesting is that the main character, I guess, right away, doesn't want to play. He was tricked into it. He's not really interested in it. In the second episode, we saw him get a little bit more like interested in it. But in like Haikyuu and like Chihayafuru, the main characters are all very devoted to their sport.
Yeah.
And they're very into it. They want to play. They want to do good. They want to win. Right? And so there's kind of like indifferent, too cool for school main character, just like also, I guess, makes me like not care about it as well. Or he's like, if he doesn't care, like, why should I?
Right.
Yeah, that's kind of passed off. Like the thing about like I've seen some people like volleyball players talk about like Haikyuu, and they would talk about how like on a volleyball team, especially like high school level, there are people who are just looking to put that on the resume. They're looking to just they're just there to have fun. They're not like that passionate. But the reason Haikyuu is probably so attractive is because that passion between all six players resonates, and then you as a viewer are able to experience that kind of passion and kind of feel yourself kind of getting invested in the sport itself. And for a lot of people, and I saw one volleyball coach talk about this, and he holds out lessons. A lot of people come to volleyball from Haikyuu, and it's apparently caused like a huge surge in the amount of people looking to play volleyball. So
nice.
If Burning Kabaddi is failing to do that, that's probably just gonna it probably is related to the fact that there's that lack of passion to drive.
Yeah. I don't even think it's like the passion itself. No, I don't get me wrong. I think the passion is absolutely there. And coming, from a sports background myself, like that feeling you get as a team, as like winning a game off of the back of each other's. It like I can see it, I can feel it. I watch Haikyuu. I'm reminded of when I used to play soccer and we had those kinds of games, those kinds of hard victories or hard losses, and like they're very heartfelt. And the passion is absolutely there. But I think what stands out to me the most in Haikyuu is the fact that it's not the fact that everybody has passion from the get-go. It's the fact that the passion is contagious, right? Because like Hinata wants to play so much, Kageyama wants to play all the time, and so the cool thing is just seeing that spread, that seeing that love for the sport spread to the other players. I think that's the coolest thing. It's just like spread gradually, and then now in the later seasons is seeing how that love for the sport just made everybody evolve into it.
No, I'm with you on that too, because like every sort of like sports anime kind of has that sort of feel, just like how it is like how that brings people together. Not only if it's even if like for Burning Kabaddi is like it's the main character feels like pretty dull right now, but there's gonna be at some moment in time where it's just gonna point where it'll be like, you know what, this is the reason why I like this this sport. And that's what other sports anime, for instance. I'll give an example. If you ever guys ever heard of a sport anime called Major, it's about baseball into itself, where he basically runs about 5 seasons, and also has 2 seasons where he actually had a son, and he's also growing up as well too. So you pretty much go through the whole process of like him the ups and downs of like trudges of being what it is to be a star player. So maybe it might be the same way for like a Burning Kabaddi. Maybe we'd be wrong, but we'll just have to see.
Yeah.
We'll just have to see. But
I mean,
Kaz, you've been kind of quiet about what animes you've been watching this week, man.
Shoot, yeah. I was hoping I could like hide underneath that, but segue into the next topic. But yes, I have been watching Megalobox Nomad 2. So watch the first 3 episodes in between. Not too bad overall. A totally different direction of what I was expecting to be, but it's just giving some little snippets of what has to be expected of without spoiling. Without spoiling. There's also anime.
All right.
Whoa.
Wait, should I say it?
All right.
All right. Oh, my bad.
I think you meant to say Funimation.
I meant to say Crunchyroll too. Yeah. Sorry.
Of course.
Yeah,
right?
please.
Yeah.
Overall, between that, I'm actually looking forward to what this season has come up to, even with the 3 episodes in. As such, it wasn't as action-packed as I would expected, especially from the first season. But I mean, time will tell until something crazy happens. But I mean, I'm pretty optimistic, as most anime I've been watching, or at least with Megalobox. So I'm already putting this at a big caliber for me, like putting it on the pedestal like this much, so that I could experience the full boxing glow right there.
And you've seen the first season of Megalobox, right?
Correct. Yes.
How does it compare so far? Because I've seen season 1, haven't started season 2 yet, but I mean something I'll get around to eventually. Because I really enjoyed Megalobox season 1.
It's really hard comparison, especially since like it's only been 3 episodes in between.
Okay.
But I would generally say I would just start leaning towards the first one, just because our character already has that goal in mind that he wanted to accomplish. Whereas this one's like we're all even the character is kind of confused. We're all conflicted. It's really hard to make a different statement for that, but I'm still indifferent for that reason.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah. The second one is not in a season or anything of that particular. It's actually a movie. And I wish our buddy Reggie was here so I could talk to him about it. And it's under, how do you say it? Tenko Noko? Or Withering with You?
Oh, okay.
The movie?
Oh, that's
the slice of life
I've heard
fantasy?
of this movie, but I haven't watched
Yeah, I have heard of this.
Oh, you heard it
movie
too? Okay.
the same director that made
Your Name,
right?
That's right.
Okay.
funny enough is that they're not only they're made by like the same director, they have some. Do you guys have you watched Your Name by any chance or?
Yeah.
Yep. You guys? No.
I
Yeah.
think we've all seen Your Name.
Okay.
I think.
Mhm.
Pretty much like the top 3 grossing ones. I mean, number 1 is obviously Demon Slayer, but number 3
Which,
spot.
by the way, is releasing tomorrow.
Yes, sir.
And there's no movie theaters open.
Oh, yo, my cousin from Vegas was like, "Yo, I got the tickets to like the Demon Slayer movie." And I'm like, "You guys open there already?"
Let me break it down for the
Go.
viewers at home. There are 5 theaters open in all of Canada.
Oh my
And
god.
All
they are literally all in the western coast. The eastern coast of Canada.
Oh, you got me going. I was like, West Coast, yes,
we
sir.
live in the western coast. They're all in Quebec. There are 2 in Quebec and 3 in Nova Scotia.
Nova
Zero.
Scotia?
Of all
Yeah.
places, man. What? Why?
0 in the west
The
of Canada.
full of fucking like fishermen gets 3 theaters.
They get to watch.
Demon Slayer.
Oh man.
Apparently, I should have started fishing. That should have been mine. You know,
Right,
That's
it's-
the ultimate weed profession is fishing.
But both Reggie and I are optimistic. We're hoping that either Cineplex or Funimation have like some sort of buy option,
Yeah.
to just watch it, because we're dying to see that movie.
classic
But
pay-per-view.
right, but anyways, I interrupted you because
Oh no, because I know someone's gonna talk about it, and I'm glad it's you first. But to continue on, Withering with You, it's a 2-hour movie, and the thing is, though, even with the fact that they have like the same director of both Your Name and Withering with You, they actually have some character cameos from Your Name in there too. So it's
Oh,
it's like a Marvel-esque sort of thing. Where you're like,
Cinematic
oh,
universe.
I see you.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Not. I'll be totally honest though. Not as life, or at least like heart wrenching, like gut, like I don't know, gut wrenching into like what the slice of life genre you need, especially from Your Name would give off at. Weathering with You is not too bad. Awesome animation overall. I mean, it is recent because it just came out like it's a 2019 movie into itself.
yeah.
It's still an enjoyable movie, even with like the fact that like the storyline can be a little bit better. But I still would say, like, I mean, if you like a little bit of slice of life action with a hint of fantasy, Weathering with You. Or if you have 2 hours to kill, why not check it out?
Yeah, it's interesting actually because Milla and I recently watched a movie that's an old one. It came out in like 2016, I think.
Right on.
It's called The Garden of Words.
Okay.
It's like 40 minutes long, so like I mean, barely a movie. But it's also by that same director.
Oh wow.
And I was recommended this movie by a friend of mine. He said it was pretty good, but he did warn me that if I've seen Your Name, this director apparently just makes the same movie over and over and over again, with just like different skins on top, you know. But it's like guy meets girl, you know, like bit of a love story, and then the movie ends. And
That's
I
it?
mean,
I guess if you would have seen like Your Name and then Weathering with You is not much different. I'll be
Yeah.
like, since you pretty much put it that words, I'm like,
it's
yeah.
like two, you know, guy
I
and
could
girl
see
from
it.
2 different walks of life. They cross paths, you know, they fall in love, whatever. And that same shit happened in Garden of Words. Spoiler alert. I mean, it definitely seems like that this director has a style to him.
Right.
He definitely likes this type of romantic anime movie. But man, Garden of Words, I was not impressed at all. I was like, wow.
Oh,
this
man.
is like some boring ass shit. It kind of got, I don't know. It was just dumb. And the further that recommended me Garden of Words, so that he really did not enjoy Weathering with You, just because it was like the same old story,
Damn.
same
Oh.
old shit.
I feel like they already set the bar too high for like Your Name, and then afterwards, anything be released afterwards is like, or even around the time, you'd be like, nah, I'm sorry.
Right. Your Name kind of has become the ultimate version of this like template, if you will.
The definitive version.
Yeah, so now when he applies the template to something else, you're like, this is just Your Name, but worse.
Hey, you know what? A movie, I just looked it up, that came out around that same time that I will always love. made me fucking ball my ass out. And Outfit Hero was there to see it actually. A Silent Voice.
Yeah.
Fucking love that movie. Holy
That
shit.
movie's- that's honestly way better than Your Name. But everyone's over here jerking off.
Yeah, right? Really, so you're jerking off Jordan? Nah.
Silent voice. Okay, you know what? I'll take you
Yeah.
up on that.
It's not so much like it doesn't have quite like the romance formula. It goes like a little bit more like
Yeah,
friend-esque.
It's heavily more of a drama than it is a romance.
Yeah, and it is so good. And I've cried 3 times to that movie. I've watched it 3 times.
Wow, every
And
time
I
it
cried
gets
all
you, right?
3
Last scene,
You sure nobody's cutting
Yeah.
onions while like you're
Yeah,
watching that?
Yeah,
On the
you know
side?
what? I go over to my mirror in my bathroom and I'm like, "You're a grown man, you can do this." And I sit down and I'm just like,
Oh man.
Oh, my God.
All right,
Churro,
yo.
what have you been watching? What have you been watching, Churro?
Dude, that's it. Kabaddi and my hero. This week I've been swamped with I've gotten off work early. Yesterday I had to do a couple of things like buy IKEA furniture, as you can see my box behind me, that I haven't gotten to assemble because I literally bought it, ate, and went to sleep. So yeah, not a lot of time unfortunately this week. I'm hoping I get to knock off some of the names of my list, like Shaman King. I hope Funimation has the subtitles to Megalobox, and I get to I get to have to form some opinion, after 4 episodes of watching the new season to see, what kind of gems are out there.
Right.
Are you and Reggie gonna take a look at Tokyo Revengers?
I don't know if he's interested, but I definitely am.
He said he was.
Let's talk
Okay.
about Tokyo Revengers real quick here.
Oh god.
Oh, all
alright.
right. Wait. You want to be
Okay.
spoiled?
No, I'm not spoiling.
Oh no.
This is purely just a criticism of maybe how they've set this anime up.
It's like the butterfly
Yep.
effect, literally.
So last week I mentioned how they had episode 0,
Yeah.
and it was very fast paced, and they just throw all this shit at you all at once, and it's just almost information overload with so much that happens. You're like, damn, this is a fast paced anime. They were just blasting through it. There must be a lot of shit to cover. And then you watch episode 1, and about a quarter of the way through, you realize that this is just the first third of episode 0, but the full length episode that you were expecting to get from episode 0. Do you know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
It definitely
yeah.
feels a lot like they kind of put in episode 0 to try to hook people really quick, be like, whoa, ba, 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 look at all this cool shit, to grab you. But really going back to I guess give it the time that it needs. But now I feel like I'm just watching the same shit again.
Right.
It's a little longer. Some characters talk a little more. They explain a little bit here and there extra. But I know what happens. I just watched it.
Right. Huh.
What
Well,
do you
then maybe-
think, Bad Rice? I know that you.
Might have to skip episode 0 then.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like
I wouldn't say you should skip it because you should still get the full, view of it, right? You should watch it and experience it as they meant it to be experienced, and then you can
Makes
say, "Hey,
sense.
that was a shit idea the way they did it."
yeah, I feel like it's a bad
Otherwise,
execution.
You'll rate it too high, right?
Right.
Yeah, see, the show seems promising and still good. Just that this execution seems terrible.
Right.
So,
Uh,
if you saw the cliffhanger for the most recent episode, I think depending on what happens for that cliffhanger in the next episode is going to decide how good this anime will be and whether people will actually be essentially playing or will be watching this entire anime at all. Because if they fail on the next episode, I'm pretty sure everyone's just going to drop this show.
yeah, it feels like who wants to
Man.
wait week to week to watch the stuff that they've just seen in one episode. You know what I mean?
That kind of reminds me of an anime that I watched about a year ago. And I watched it because it appeared in some ad on Facebook
Yeah.
of Crunchyroll, because I get this all the time. They're like, "Hey, watch this anime. It's set in World War One, but there's lycanthropy in soldiers. The soldiers are lycanthropes, the special soldiers or lycanthropes, they can turn
That's
into
a
like werewolves.
werewolf for the kids at home.
Yeah, like werewolf. A lycanthrope it's not just a werewolf; it's a were animal, right? Like you turn
like
into
a bear,
tiger, so on and
Oh.
so forth.
So like Animorphs way back when.
Yeah. Anyway,
That's pretty dope.
point being is it was like super interesting premise. I was like, sure, I'm in it. Why the fuck not? It sounds absurd enough to be enjoyable. And then it just the first episode was like throwing shit at you, and it's like, oh, and then the second episode is like, how about we stop and just not do that ever again?
Oof.
And then I dropped it after like 5 episodes. I'm like, this is like some boring ass shit. It was just not good. I can't remember the name of the anime. If somebody's watched it out there, you can tell me because I
Some
totally
werewolf anime
forgot.
had a really strong first episode and then just sucked
Yeah,
the rest of the way.
basically. Yeah, basically what it reminds me of.
And as some of you might know, I watch my anime always with Milla. We're partners in crime when it comes to watching anime. So
Nice.
Milla, what do you think of these shows we've been checking out?
Yeah, I'm gonna throw back to some of the ones Bad Rice mentioned. I love Odd Taxi. I love it so much.
Oh yeah.
It's very much the first episode is kind of like all these little random kind of disjointed things. Then as episode 2 comes, you're like, oh, this is connected. Oh, this is connected. And same with 3. So as a viewer, it's like very satisfying to see these things come together. Like in the first episode, there's a song playing on the radio by like these J-pop idols. Second episode, those J-pop idols are like relevant to the plot. It's I love Odd Taxi so much. The animals don't bug me. I think they're really cute.
I might have to check it out. I have to formulate an opinion on this now.
Yeah.
Yes.
It also does a good job of kind of blending like a cute art style with a more mature and kind of dark content matter.
Oh.
Huh.
And because kind of like the fact that they're animals really isn't relevant to the plot at all. It's not like Beastars where like there's the carnivores and the herbivores and that's really integral to the plot. You could totally just switch them out for people and the show would still work.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
40-year-old
interesting
walrus,
approach.
guys. The show is just the pacing is still like a little weird for me.
It is.
But like, I'm gonna keep watching it, but it's still like, I feel like there's still like the little lump it needs to get over, and I think you guys, without spoiling anything, I just need to know what the situation is with his apartment. That's all I need to know.
That was there's a lot of
If that
loose,
gets solved, I'm okay.
loose threads and cliffhangers.
It's just
still.
super loose.
I mean, the very first episode, the very first scene, so no spoilers. Literally, when you boot up the show, this is the first thing that you see. You see something tied up, weighed down with like bricks sinking in the water. I mean, you don't know what it is. You assume that it's like some mafia gangster shit, right? Where someone's sleeping with the fishes now.
Right on.
And we still haven't gotten back to that, right? That's still like unknown.
That's still the big it's like
Yeah.
what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, like it's like nothing has mentioned it, nothing has brought back to it. Like it is a lone puzzle piece in this puzzle that is half complete. You're just like, when are we gonna get to click this one in?
Yeah, but that's what I like about the show is because it makes you keep thinking. It makes you kind of remember back, like, oh, could this be related to this? It doesn't spoon feed you the information, which is what I like.
Yeah, it definitely feels kind of weird where it seems like, why are all these anthropomorphic animal anime murder mysteries? You watch like Beastars and it's like a murder mystery and watch this one. It's like, is this one also a murder mystery?
Yeah, and then the other anime that Bad Rice talked about, To Your Eternity, that just falls into, or what I suspect it will, fall into sort of my favorite genre, which is what Natsume's Book of Friends is, Mushishi, Kino's Journey, if you're familiar with any of those, which is episodic, like interesting stories with an overarching plot. Because that's what I kind of feel like it'll be like. I'm not sure. Already episode 2 isn't a quite finished story, but I feel like it'll finish in episode 3, and then the main character will sort of move on to the next little story. But yeah, that's just a genre that I really like. So that's hitting all the right notes for me.
It's a little, or it's a bit ironic because I actually despise that format. I hate the like episodic misadventures per episode. You know, like
I think it can work. Like I've definitely seen it work. Right?
Avatar: The Last Airbender.
Avatar: The Last Airbender. That's a good example.
I mean, that was like the first season, and then after that, it was like plot. You know.
You could argue that the second season. Are you telling me that in the second season, when they went to the movie theater, that was plot? Well, not the movie theater, the theater.
Ember Theater. That was
the Ember
last
Theater.
season.
Was it last season?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, I think what you want to talk about is the Appa dressing up as samurai battling Momo.
I don't know. It felt less episodic to me. I think Your Eternity might be non-episodic enough for me to enjoy it. It just shows like Mushishi or like Cowboy Bebop that just like don't do it for me. It's because it's like I really get attached to those animes that have like a very obvious overarching story going on. You can have you can have misadventures going on, you know, every couple episodes, right? But the focus should be the overarching plot. I don't like the plot taking a backseat while like you have major like misadventures per episode going on. Like
fair enough.
Monster of the week or character of the week or whatever it is.
Nice.
Yeah, that's fair. Hey, you know, we all got different preferences, right? That's why that's what makes us talk all the time. Just talk and bicker.
Yeah. All right, Milla. Got any other ones you want to like hit on?
I think most everything else has been said. We're still watching Mars Red, Offbeat and I. And it's still good. I'd say it's kind of the shows we're watching, it's more of the slow burner, but it's still keeping me interested.
Nice.
Yeah, definitely felt like it had a stronger. I was more invested in episode 1 because it was a little bit more mysterious and like I don't know, like yeah, I guess just like mysterious is like the only word I can like really think of. These last 2 episodes have been a little bit more formulaic. With just like some more straightforward plot points. But the general premise is still there, still like interesting, you know, 1920s vampires. I'm still here for it. But we also checked out, I mean, I don't think anybody else be checking it out, but we checked out The World Ends With You, the animation show. You watched 2 episodes. And I mean, this is an anime based off a video game. We know that movies and anime or shows based off games have not been traditionally good. You know, they're not really the most ripe for anime of the year. And I don't think this is any different. It's also not going to be super great, but I like it because it covered 2 important things for me. One, it kept the art style of the game. If you've played The World Ends With You, it was on the Nintendo DS. It has a very unique art style. Still got that classic kind of like anime look, but it's got some very hard lines to it and very sharp edges. There's very few soft edges in this style, and the animation captured that perfectly. I thought it was great. Looked just like the game. And 2, the game has a baller soundtrack. It has a whole bunch of sick vocal tracks. Has some rap tracks in there. Has a bunch of kind of like hip hop inspired, like R&B stuff. Oh man, it's so good.
Wait, I heard R&B and hip hop. What?
Yeah.
What's going on?
The World Ends With You. It is
clean. I'm in.
I'm in. JRPG that has a R&B hip hop soundtrack, and they keep that going in the anime using songs straight from the game, and it hit those 2 points. They're like, bruh, I am here for it. Like, clearly, this is for me. The pacing's a little bit jumbled. It's fast. It's supposed to be a 12-episode recap because there's going to be a sequel game coming out, and they want people to be able to catch up on the story going on without having to go buy a fucking Nintendo DS track on one of these games.
They should just release like the game for like for at least for Nintendo Switch or at least for other systems. That'd be pretty dope.
See, the hard part is that it was one of those games that really utilized the dual screen of the DS.
Right. Oh,
one of
right.
the big things was the combat. The combat, the basic plot, I'll first give you a kind of rundown of the like plot. Is the main character gets wakes up in a parallel world. It's still like Japan. It's set in Japan in like Shibuya or whatever, right? And it's a like slightly parallel world there where he can see everyone, but nobody can see him. It's kind of like purgatory. And the Grim Reapers have set up this like a game, and you have to survive the game for like 7 days. And then if you survive at the end, you get to get your body back and be reincarnated and go back to like live in wherever you're doing. So you have to make a partner to fight off these things called the Noise, which is like the enemy in this game, the enemy type in the game called like Noise, just like whatever kind of random enemies. But you had to make a partner. You gotta make a pact with someone to use your like purgatory powers or whatever they are. And because you have a partner on the DS when you're playing it, you control your character on the bottom screen using the stylus, and you control the second character on the top screen using the gamepad.
Oh, wow.
So you have to control two characters on two different screens at the same time, fighting the same enemies. It's very hard to play. It's a very strange control scheme. It's super fun once you get the like hang of it. But I just don't know how they would port that to like the Switch or even like PC, because you really have to have that kind of interaction between like the top screen, bottom screen, touch screen, all that shit. They really went full on like this is a DS game, you know. But I would say check it out. You know, it's not amazing. I'm probably biased towards it because I like the game. But I would say check out the anime. Maybe if you see a trailer for the sequel game coming up for Switch, so like The World Ends With You, like Neo or something.
Mm-hmm.
So if you check it out, I think it looks fun. Maybe you want the anime is a nice way to get a crash course on the story. Get like caught up, because I think this sequel is going to be a like direct sequel, so we'll see a lot of the same characters and the same story.
Now, I wasn't here for the whole explanation. I had to get some water. But is this gonna be another Persona 5, Derek? Is this gonna be like the anime is gonna be?
No, immediately. I mean, what did you like about the Persona 5 animation? Was it the ending?
Yes, it was the ending. Oh my god, the ending, dude.
Oh my goodness.
I'm still mad about it.
What did you like about the ending? What part of it was bad?
I was just, it left me very unsatisfied with the story.
The bit where they like fought God and they shot him in the face?
Yeah, like what the fuck was up with that? Like,
that's just Persona. Okay?
That's the formula of every Persona game. I will say, having watched a lot of anime adaptations of like the Tales of games or the Persona games, one thing that's a lot better with The World Ends With You is because it has such a unique style and they actually keep it, it looks way better than any Persona or Tales of animation. So it's at least pretty to look at.
Okay.
You can definitely tell it is like a video game and kind of a recap. And watching the first episode more just made me want to play the game than watch more of the anime. But it is much prettier to look at. And since it is only 12 episodes, I feel like it'll be a lot more concise and less weirdly paced than some of the Persona adaptations.
Fair enough.
Yeah, so your issues with the Persona 5 animation is more an issue with Persona games in general. Like I recently played Persona 3 on the like PS3, and I mean it's the Persona formula. A bunch of kids have special powers at nighttime, and at the end of the game you fight God. Like that's just
Persona 4 is murder mystery, and then you fight God.
There you go. Like you're always fighting God at the end of the game. That's just how it is. So I would say if you want something just like, you know, don't need to pay too much attention to, something casual, The World Ends With You, the animation is both great to look at and great to listen to. The soundtrack is fantastic.
Ooh, okay.
So
Nice.
All right, I think that about covers it.
yeah, I think we're all covered here. So we move on to our second topic here, which I believe is something a little bit more in depth, a little bit more meaty. We all have our favorite shows, and there's a lot of things that can make a show good. Sometimes it's the animation, sometimes it's the music, like we were just talking. Sometimes it is the world building, but a lot of the time it's the characters. It's the characters that make the show. So today we're gonna talk about what each of us think is the best written anime character. I guess maybe ever. This also extends to video games. If you guys want to also go to that, is that a second slide?
That's yeah.
next
We're doing anime
just
first.
anime first.
Yeah,
just anime first. But yes, we're gonna talk about. I mean, there's a lot of good shows out there. Some have bad ratings, some have good ratings. We're gonna talk about just the ones where a certain character had a really good writing to them. You know, whether it be their backstory, their personality, combination of both, any number of things that can make a character good. Let's start off with Churro. What do you think is what's your choice?
All right. Well, before I say my choice, I am a writer myself. Both just as a hobby and for D&D, I read a lot of like character stuff. I read a lot of like world building stuff. So and looking at writing is just one of my passions.
Nice.
So I had a bit of a struggle coming up with like the pick. So I do have some honorable mentions here.
Okay.
And I tried to keep it one character per series.
Wow.
Because it's hard.
You have a lot.
Some great shows have fantastic characters, right?
Yeah.
So without further ado, in not particular order, and my honorable mentions are Okabe Rintaro from Steins Gate, Makishima Shogo from Psycho-Pass Season 1, Pain from Naruto, shout out to Mr. Kazo there, both Nagato and Yahiko. I think both characters were very, very well written. They both make up the entity that we know as Pain. Urahara from Bleach is one of it's actually one of my all-time favorites. Vegeta from the Dragon Ball Z saga. I'm not really talking like Super or GT. It's just specifically on the Z. I think Vegeta was a very well-written character then. And here's why I said I tried to keep it to one character is because here it comes.
All right.
The Fate series.
Ooh.
So Gilgamesh, Iskandar, both are archer and writer from the same series. That's Fate Zero. Both fantastic characters, well written. Not a lot of development to them, but my God, are they? Their characters are so good. They're so well written. If you haven't watched Fate Zero, highly recommend it. From Fate Stay Night, Archer. He is unnamed. No spoilers, but he does, his identity does get discovered in the end of the anime, and he is a treat to watch and a treat to see in the world. But my favorite character from the Fate series, and the one that I picked to deep dive into, is from Fate Zero, Emiya Kiritsugo.
Ooh, good pick.
Good pick.
God, good pick.
Such a great character. I think he really is the embodiment of the sentiment, the duality of men. Men can be both like it is. He is the duality of men embodiment. Like, right, men are capable of achieving good things and bad things simultaneously, and he has such a complex character to him. He's almost like a human trying to act like a robot in a way, right? Like he's a very caring and emotional person. We see that with his wife. We see that with his assassin trainer, with his father, with his childhood friend, and that have all, by the way, died. So he comes from a very tragic upbringing. He learned how to, he learned how to kill people, mages and specifically, right? And this character is just set in stone to end dull bloodshed. Like he'd heard about the Holy Grail. He wants the Holy Grail to end all bloodshed, but the way he does it is the complete opposite, right? He fights fire with fire. He wants to end all bloodshed by leaving a trail of bodies. Like he uses every trick, every loop, there's a fantastic scene in Fate Zero that I think really captures his character to perfection, and that's what he he's making a contract with the mage. That's all I'm gonna say. If you have watched it, you know, and if you haven't, highly recommend. Again, his character just brings so much life into Fate Zero. And a fun fact, by the way, if you love Psychopaths, the guy that did Psychopaths also did Fate Zero, and that's the only Fate series he's ever produced. And it is the best.
Wow.
It's by far the best Fate series, like Fate series out there. You know, out of all the Fates, however many there are, I can't stop counting. You know,
all sorts of. I mean.
yeah, exactly.
Like
That's
Fate,
what.
This and that and those and the other.
Yeah.
And...
Exactly. There's so many Fates, but Fate Zero, I think it should it's almost a definite must watch. Like, I stopped myself from adding in more characters to my honorable mention from Fate Zero because there's so many good ones. There's so many good ones to pull from, and Emiya Kiritsugo, like the contrast between him and what was it, Saver, right? Like the contrast of opinions. Like it's so interesting to see because Saver is a very noble king, right? And it's a very noble king, and Kiritsugo, he's a very noble person too, but the ways that they want to get to the end goals are entirely different, right? And I think that's what makes Kiritsugo such a great character to watch, is that he'll stop. You know, he there's no level low enough for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? He'll get it no matter which way he can, no matter how much it hurts him, no matter how much damage he causes, and just the consequences that arise from his character and the plot are fantastic. Like, he's just well-built character in a very well-built story, and just you see the consequences of his actions. You see the realization that of the life that is made. Really, like, you see him come into, quite literally, you know, a life-altering vision almost. You know, like the realization that everything that he lived up to, and the fact that he still couldn't reach his goal despite, you know, getting what he wanted, it's heartbreaking almost. He's a very tragic character. He's a very tragic backstory. He's not a good character. He's not a bad character. But he is a fantastic character. And he just breathes so much life into the world. I just felt like if I didn't pick him, you know, he really makes Fate Zero shine. You know, he really takes it up a notch. You know, and there are, like I said in my honorable mentions, there are quite a few characters that I would have liked to put in there from Fate Zero, but he is the star of the show. And
nice.
I think he's, from what I've seen, you know, my very limited anime list, he takes the cake, man. He just does.
Yo, Kiritsu's hella gangster though, dude.
Trust, man. I have to rewatch Fate Zero now because I don't know if you watched the same show. Like, I watched it a while back, and I remember not really liking it. You know, thinking it was pretty flat and just like, oh, it had some cool action scenes. Like, I'm looking at my anime list right now. Fate Zero first season, 4 out of 10.
Yo.
Ooh.
Fate Zero second season, 5 out of 10. A little better.
Oh man.
But I mean, you talk pretty big game here, so I'm like, shit, I just like look something or what? I
think this shit. I don't know. I like to analyze the shows that I watch. You know, the shows that I'm really interested in, anyways. And Fate Zero just is one of those shows that won't have the same effect if I watch it again, but it will have you know, the impact that it made, and it's just the overall story, how it connects, how the heroes from all the ages interact, the naivety of Saver, you know, hitting the experience of people like Kiritsugo, people like Gilgamesh. You know, it's fantastic. I think it's a very well written show. Again, it's made by the same guy that made Psychopaths, and Psychopaths is another very great futuristic dystopian piece. So I would highly recommend it, like watching it with new eyes and seeing what the characters really have to bring to the table. There are a few lackluster characters, I will not lie, but there's more good characters than there are bad characters in Fate Zero, and the story overall really embodies what Fate should be. Like that's a read for another day, but I'm just saying, like, out of all the Fates, let's say, like, fight to the death for the Holy Grail, like, out of all the Fates, this is literally the one that's like, holy shit, it's a fight to the death for the Holy Grail. Right? And I don't know. I would highly recommend rewatching it. I think I've been talking about it. I'm going to rewatch it myself because it's a good piece, man. It is. It's a good anime. Look at it through the lens of writing too, right? Like, and if it's not your thing, it's not your thing, and that's totally okay. But highly recommend it. I think I rated it a 9 out of 10.
Damn. All right. Yeah.
But fantastic.
Fate Zero is definitely, at least in my opinion, the better Fate of the majority of Fates I've seen. Anytime I've ever looked at.
Fate Zero is like the best one, and the other ones kind of like, there's some good moments in there, but a lot of them don't have the same like overall like goodness of Fate Zero.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think what Fate Zero really brought, though, which is what made it so, like, valuable at first, was actually, it was really dark for an anime.
It was. It's got very mature
at the time it came out. It was one of the more mature themes, but we saw Fate Stay Night kind of step back on that stuff, and now everyone who watches Fate just, they're super into it, but it's not that good.
It's not the same.
Yeah, it's definitely a show that is set up to make you think that it's gonna be like a shonen, right? Like all these superpowered guys, they're all fighting with their fucking superpowers and shit, right? Blah blah blah. And then people start dying, and you're like, oh wow, this isn't really like the classic shonen formula. This is just like it like baits you in with the kind of like shonen premise of like a big battle royale, and then does a like switcheroo on you.
Right.
It does, yeah. But I will leave it at that. Kiritsugo is, in my opinion, as far as I've seen, despite Fate Zero not being my favorite anime, it's still Kiritsugo definitely takes the cake in one of the best anime characters that I've seen written. And
you had mentioned that it was the same guy who made Psycho-Pass.
Yes,
and
same director.
If I'm wrong, but I believe Milla has some words about best character in regards specifically to Psycho-Pass. So I'm going to pass it to her to see what she thinks.
Ooh,
nice.
Yeah, I mean, I've been sitting here maybe changing my mind. I had a very short briefing for this, so I didn't think too deep. But I was scrolling through like my anime list, and Akane from Psycho-Pass, who's the character.
Fantastic.
I love her. I don't have anything really prepared more to say about that, but she was definitely one of my favorites. Another one that Offbeat and I were talking about before this was high Q characters kind of in general, but specifically Tsukishima. I'd say he's like the main character of Kabaddi done right, and that he's not really that interested in volleyball. He's tall. I think he maybe played it in middle school. So he's just like, I'll do this, I guess. And then, seeing his development from being that sort of indifferent character to actually passionate about it or wanting to actually improve himself is always an arc I enjoy in a character. But actually, the one I think I've changed my mind to my favorite, based on shows we're currently watching, is Mashima from Chihaya Furu. I'll give you a very quick, because I know most of you have not seen Chihaya Furu.
Okay.
So there's sort of a main three trio that play Karuta, which you have Chihaya, who is sort of she's just the natural. In Karuta, it matters that you have really good hearing. She has really good hearing. So she has the advantage in that. There's Arata, whose grandfather is like a master of the game. So he's sort of raised in it. That's what makes Arata good. And Mashima is neither of those things. He's just a kid that was raised with a lot of pressure to, like, you know, get 100% on things, participate in as many extracurriculars as you can. So he's very much a jack of all trades. And I find it really interesting watching him try to keep up with, like, these born naturals. And with just, like, he's like, I'm good at memorizing. Which is also important. But so and that's a character I'd say I quite like because I quite relate to it. So there's definitely that bias there. But I find it's really interesting to see the character that isn't the main character that's naturally great at everything, that has to work for it, which I think is why I like Tsukishima as well. Those are my anime characters that I like.
Yeah, no.
Nice.
I mean, just to chime in on the characters that Milla just mentioned. Yes, the main character for Psycho-Pass, fantastic character, very well developed, just like Tsukishima K too, right? It's they're both relevant characters, very well developed. I haven't seen the anime that you mentioned, no, but you know, I given your picks, I trust your judgment, and 10 out of 10 picks.
Wow,
really.
Thank
you. I definitely agree. I haven't finished Chihayafuru, but from what I've seen from Mashima, just you can really empathize with him. Because I mean, like, you can take his feelings and his performance in Karata and apply it to, like, anything that you've tried to get good at, right? Where he definitely is good from a lot of hard work, but I'll say not quite as good as a person who, like, devotes their life to it. And of course, doesn't have that kind of natural talent that some people have. And seeing him just slowly develop, he's the character that gets, like, no breaks, always has to, like, squeeze out wins with, like, every ounce of their being, and, like, even then it's, like, just barely, right? Where in Karata they have, like, grades, which is, like, ranks, right? There's, like, grade A, B, C, D, whatever, A being the highest, right? So far in the anime, Mashima's grade B. And he can't just quite break out of it. He can't quite break that last little bit to get into Class A. You have to, like, win so many tournaments to break into Class A. And so getting there's a lot to empathize with him, which does, I feel like, to make him a well-written character. He has a lot of realistic flaws, realistic strengths. That he just seems like a very well fleshed out character that I think a lot of people can, like, relate to and see as, like, a real person.
Yeah, like the ordinary among the extraordinary, right?
Yeah, right. Like, he also kind of gives that vibe of, I'm sure a lot of us have felt it, where you get pretty good at a game, whether it be Smash or Tekken or Mario Kart, whatever it is, where you're better than your friends, but you're not good enough to go to tournaments. You know what I mean? Area. Where, like, you want to invite your friends over, you want to play some casual Smash, you, like, whoop them, right? You can just destroy them. But you try to play someone who, like, is, like, devoted to that game, they just ruin you, right? You're stuck in this kind of middle ground where you're better than the average person, but you're worse than the good people.
Yeah. No, I definitely feel that. And just to give a shout out here to Mr. Midnight Light, redeeming his channel points for the Gerard can't say anime.
So Japanese cartoon.
So I'm not the moderator, but I will kindly ask that we should pass off the mic to
that, I think, like, a pretty good time. I just want to touch on one last thing. I know that Noah also talked about Haikyuu and their characters, specifically Tsukishima. Two things, seeing Tsukishima in season 1, and then seeing him later on in I forget which match it is, but the one where he, like, makes this wicked block and then just, like, yells, like, oh my god, I felt that on, like inside. It was like totally different character from the like start, which I think is a pretty good sign of a good anime, which you can also see in Akane from Psycho-Pass, where if you watch episode 1 of Akane and then the final episode of Akane, like, those are different people.
Yeah.
Right? Just from all the shit that she's gone through has changed her. But without further ado, we'll pass
Oh,
it
he
off
just
to-
left us.
He ditched. All right, that's
He-
fine.
I'm still here. I'm still here. I'm still here.
Right on time. I mean, another thing about Haikyuu I liked is that all the characters have very solid writing to the point where I feel like any of them could be the main character, right? Especially with the individual teams. Like I know that I could easily see the entire anime shift and be entirely about the like cats. I forget what their school name is.
Nekoma.
Yeah, Nekoma. I could see their team being the main team, right? Us following
Right.
their rise to the top, right? Like
Nah, dude, you're forgetting about my boy Bokuto.
Bokuto. I mean, like his team also, like they're like all these characters feel so individual and fleshed out that they all feel like main characters.
Yeah.
Where a lot of the time, even when the actual main team is playing, you're kind of rooting for both sides. Because you're like, I'm just so attached to both these teams. They all have their own like motivations and drive. They can easily front their own like their own haiku anime.
Yeah, of course.
No sweat, right?
And like going back to what Milla said, right? Like because these characters are so well fleshed out, we remember the names, we remember who they are, we remember what their motivations are, right? And that's what makes Haikyuu like a really good anime too.
Yeah. But we will now pass it off to Kazo since he can't say a specific word anymore. So we'll ask you what your favorite or what do you think is the best written character in your name rappy favorite Japanese cartoon?
Actually, you know what? You guys can still say it. I just can't. Right? You
Yeah.
can say the word. It's just taboo for me. Shout outs to Midnight for pretty much investing his points for letting me not say it. To the point where it's like, if I ever say it, you guys can call me out on that. I will pretty much drink this whole bottle of water. And
that's
as-
Oh.
I've done it before, and I got caught
Love
red-handed,
that,
and I pretty much I'm a man of my word, so that's what's up. Bet on it.
All right.
So that being said, though, written anime.
Oh, you
Whoa! Hasn't even been a full minute.
Shut.
Hasn't even been a full minute, my guy.
Give you a mulligan. The first one's free.
You're built different.
All right, you know what? The first one's free.
All right, cool. Wow, you guys are so nice. All right. Oh, B's in. There you go. Thank you. So, well-written cartoon character. I had to think this through a tad bit, but looking back, especially from all the cartoons I've been looking through, I would generally say I'll pretty much put in there Naruto Shippuden, and for the character, no, and for the character itself, guys, let me talk.
Wow, we got bad rice spamming channel points trying to get those drinks in. Those
You really don't want me to talk, man.
Dude. Reroll the L. We're about to get down. Get down!
Yeah. Reiji. Oh, hold up.
he has to go get more water. Oh my god. You
Okay,
know what?
hold up. Okay, I'll. Okay, put me on put that on my tab, and just tell me how much I need to hydrate, and then we'll talk. Okay.
Alright.
Rain check on this.
All right.
Rain of
Just give me like a water count at this point. So to continue on as we keep this train rolling. Shippuden. Yes, thank you. I will put Konoha's own Itachi Uchiha on a map.
Great pick.
The reason, I mean, for those of you guys who haven't watched the cartoon into itself, he is basically, when I looked into the first, I mean, even with the first season of Naruto, he's always been deemed as like the villain, or portrayed the villain. Even when you look at it, it was like, oh shoot, I mean, we all know that, like, he has some sort of vengeful purpose, that like he has some sort of that sort of undertaking that he needs to fulfill his mission by taking out a certain character that has a nine-tailed fox, right? Or at least capturing that. And then by the time you look at it, it already shows like he has a more subtle, like different side of him. That like not only he's a genius into itself, he pretty much works as a spy. He's like, dang. He hits hard, man. Like having to. I mean, I know I even put a spoiler alert, anyways. But that's why I'm telling you guys now. Okay. I'll break it down.
I mean,
Can I?
if you haven't watched Naruto at this point,
Yeah, I mean,
right?
Can
so
I?
There's spoiler alerts for things in the past, right? But like, look, who hasn't seen The Sixth Sense? If you haven't seen it, like, someone spoils it for you. You know, if you don't know that Darth Vader is Luke's father, like, I mean, tough shit, right?
Right.
Like,
Yeah,
Naruto's
yeah.
old. If you haven't seen it by now, you've lost your spoiler immunity. You know what I mean?
See,
Go
there-
for it, Gerard.
Go
Appreciate
for
it.
it.
Thank you. So for him to like not only have to kill his parents, his lover, destroyed his clan, lost his friend, left his brother, joined another like gang like sign.
He joined the gang, you know. Yeah.
Love the Crips.
Right,
And I
right.
mean, he didn't quite leave his brother. He just couldn't do it.
Well, I mean, obviously, but even then, he just kind of like it's like, hey, have fun with doing your own thing, but I'll just
Yeah.
watch you from another side, and doing this all for peace. I mean, dude, it's just one of those things. It's like even looking back at it though, like I mean, even when I was writing this up, I had to like pretty much delve into like what kind of character he is, like overall as a whole, and you don't really see through it until you see through Itachi's point of view. No Sharingan pun intended. I'm just saying, right? But I never thought I could ever look a character the same way until even though the show is mainly about our protagonist Naruto, like there are other characters with a backstory that's just as strong that they could pretty much have it deemed like, let's say it's Itachi Shippuden at this point, right? That the
I mean, just to interject here, I don't quite think so. I think Itachi plays the role of the villain really, really well.
right,
But because he has to, right? Like he's working towards a much bigger goal, you know, in regular Naruto than in Shippuden. Is what makes me a great. I think what makes him a great character is the fact that he went through all of what he did,
Right.
and still played the villain that his brother thought he was, just so he could bring his brother to the next level of power.
right.
And then his brother was like, "Hey, you know this village you're trying to protect? I'm gonna destroy it."
Yeah, right. Oh, you can't say character now, Gerard.
I'm actually
you
writing.
can't say anime, and you can't say character.
I'm just actually writing this whole on a notepad right now, just so I don't like. Okay, all right, we safe, we good.
Here comes heckin' dude.
But again, the journey of Itachi not only teaches about the love and sacrifice. No matter what happens, the village is always first. That's the thing I like about him as a person. And I'd like to end it off. I would like to put up like an Itachi quote to continue on. So it says here, "You and I are flesh and blood. I'm always going to be there for you. Even if it's only an obstacle for you to overcome, even if you do hate me, that's what big brothers are for." And when I look at that, I'm like, oh my gosh.
That's what big
Oh
brother.
my gosh.
For.
I don't have a brother or sister, and I still feel it.
I think Itachi is a fantastic pick, and you know, like as an arc, he was already great, like in his own arc. But when he really blew up for me is when he came back with the resurrection jutsu,
Right.
and you just get to see him be the person he really is, and it was just Itachi's a very good pick.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Oh, and also for him as a person, I actually, just to be clear, he was my favorite overall person in Naruto. That I even put him on my fight stick, my first fight stick.
Look at that.
So
You got the
it's
troll
it's a lot of
there.
like feels for that though, just
The
to name him.
commitment,
Yes.
dedication.
Yes, sir. But yeah, that's it. That's my pick.
Nice. I will take it from here. I'm going to talk to you guys about Evangelion. If you guys haven't seen this show
Ooh.
already, I'm already repping the shirt. Look at this little.
Oh, look at that.
Ooh.
There we go.
Very nice.
And I mean, it's a little bit cliche. I mean, what has been said about like Evangelion? This is one of the most influential anime to ever be made. I mean, there's the fucking recap movies still aren't done. The final one that we've been waiting like 10 years to get. This is like the Half-Life 3 of anime coming out here. And it's actually happening. We're like, what the fuck? Like, holy shit, we're actually getting recap movie 4, even though it's called like Evangelion like 1.0 plus 2.0. I mean, I don't. The dude who makes these shows, I forget the director's name. He's a loon. He's totally crazy. But I'm gonna reference specifically the Evangelion anime, the original airing, because that is where that is the truest form to watch it. Recap movies are fine, and I mean Evangelion has. I think every single character in that show is well written. The entire show is incredibly dark and morbid and dreary, and none of the characters are redeemable or good. They're all fucked up in their own way, and it kind of makes it great how each character is like fatally flawed. You know, it's a very dark world that they found themselves in, where they're constantly being attacked by these things called angels, which are like otherworldly entities. They're not really aliens. Incredibly hard to kill, horrifying to take on. But I'm going to talk specifically about not the main character. The main character is Shinji. I'm going to talk about Asuka Langley Soryu, which is a side character. To give you a brief overview of Evangelion, it is a story about a post-apocalyptic world where these beings called angels, they're called angels, but they're these like otherworldly beings. They're not quite aliens. They're not quite from Earth. They're just like some like eldritch beings, basically, that are constantly trying to both attack and wipe out humanity. And so they enlist the help of some kids, some robots, and the robots go and fight the aliens, fight these like angels. And so Asuka pilots Unit 2, one of these Evangelions. These Evangelions are like these super fighting robots that are half biological, half mechanical. There's only so many of them available because they're hard to make.
Right.
But she's introduced actually episode 7, so she's not even in the show immediately. Out of Evangelion's like 23, 24 odd episodes, she doesn't come until episode 7. And when you first meet her, she's like this young redhead girl. She's like half Japanese, half German. She's spunky. She's full of energy. Brings a lot of life to a show that has been focusing mainly around Shinji, who is a whiny bitch, and Rei, who doesn't say anything at all. So she's like the kind of the like one of the first really bright characters to just show up and kind of spin the show a little bit. But she's also a total bitch. Oh my god, she's terrible, and it's kind of why the reason I like her so much and why she's so well written. A lot of people hate her, but I had a magical moment where after I finished watching Evangelion, the original airing does have quite a terrible ending because it's very like artsy and metaphorical, and nobody knew what the fuck was going on. And I was talking to the guy who first recommended it to me. And he was like, so who's your favorite character? I was like, it's got to be Asuka. You know, she definitely felt, she was the most gung like ho. She actually did shit. She wasn't a fucking whiny ass bitch like Shinji who didn't do anything. And he was talking about how Rei was the best. And as we went on and on, I just realized like how good this show was off of just how much how much character they had packed in here that I was able to then like talk about and later like reflect on. The big thing about Asuka is that she is naturally, or she worked hard. She kind of fits into kind of that that like Mashima role we like talked about earlier, where she works super hard. She's very good. When she shows up onto the squad, she joins Shinji and Rei as the third pilot to fight these angels. Has to team up with Shinji to fight them. And she's like 14 or something. She already has gone to college. She's like super smart, super well trained in fighting in her Evangelion. But then when she gets here, she is immediately pretty good. But time after time, Shinji just saves the day. I mean, he's the main character. He's a saves the day every episode or so. And you slowly see this kind of whittle her down, because her being number one was kind of her entire like shtick. You know, she was the gifted kid. She was super good, super smart, super trained. You know, super soldier basically. And meanwhile, here's Shinji, who doesn't want to pilot Evangelions, isn't trained in it, just doesn't want to do anything even involving this, and yet he's naturally gifted. He begins surpassing her in every way, constantly saves her ass like countless times, and obviously this has a brutal impact on her psyche. And we learn later on in this series some of her backstory, how her father died at some point, but was like negligent to her, didn't really pay any attention to her. Her mom went crazy and then committed suicide.
Right.
Before she, or when her mom went crazy, she ended up replacing Asuka with a doll of her instead. So she basically ignored her only daughter for a doll replica of her that she could do her Schwan with. And when she committed suicide, she also like hung the doll itself. Which I mean, when you're a child and you see this, it fucks you up. And then she got adopted into this Evangelion program, which is super fucked up because I mean they're basically putting the weight of the world on your shoulders, and fighting these Evangelions is horrific and horrible, and both painful mentally and physically. And she basically a victim of being forced to grow up. You know, she never got to have a childhood because she was one, neglected by both her parents, and then immediately basically put into the army as like a child soldier. But I mean, even worse, she pilots this fucking freaky ass robot to fight these like otherworldly things that no one even knows how to beat. And she kind of just like settles into that by being the best. And it's like, well, as long as I can rely on myself, right? I don't need my mom. I don't need my dad. I don't need him.
Right.
But then here comes Shinji, a guy who didn't work for it at all, who is just the fucking gifted boy, who hates even piloting Evangelions, come up and just like take her only identity away. And now what is she? She's basically nothing. She's a kid who missed her childhood that everyone treats as an adult now. And the weird bit is that she ends up getting attached to Shinji because he's the only person who actually treats her normally. Everyone else treats her like an adult or like they have something to gain from her. One of the big things that really sold me on Asuka as a character is in the later episodes of Evangelion, the original airing, there are some director's cuts, so like episode like 20 and 22 or something, and they do revolve a lot around Asuka, and that cut content actually adds so much to her character. It is a crime not to watch them.
Wow.
So if you watch Evangelion, definitely watch the director's cut. It's so good. You really see like how she's kind of stuck between both child and adult, where she tries to seduce this older guy to like have sex with her because she's like, I'm an adult now, like I want to do adult things. But of course he's like, bruh, you're 14, like I'm not going to do this.
Right.
And that just further just like messes with her own self-value, self-worth. It's brutal. And She's a like fantastic character. She is both great, both terrible. A lot of people hate her because she is just kind of bitchy and terrible to everybody. But I think once you kind of realize like what she's been through, it all makes sense as to that's why she is. It's a like defense mechanism.
Yeah.
And I mean, Evangelion, all the characters have their own flaws and weaknesses, like I said before. So if you haven't seen it, if you haven't already seen it, I highly recommend checking it out. It is a classic for a reason, and it has some super phenomenal writing. It's just an incredibly dreary show, but really, it's just a like coming of age story.
Oh shit! Wow, look at that.
But yeah, a little longer than I wanted to go on to. But yeah, I mean, like Asuka is just a great character, super good. And even though I hate Shinji, I think he's also very well.
I mean, I'm kind of more surprised that you didn't pick Lelouch.
I do like Lelouch, and while he is well written, I think he does suffer from just kind of like the overpowered MC-ness. You know what I mean?
That's,
like some of the writing
what
is
I was
like,
thinking too.
Yeah, like it's fine, but also some of it is like, he's a fucking mastermind. He figured it. He's his fucking superpower that is his like brain to solve problems and stuff. So definitely still well written, but not in the sense that I would say that Evangelion is well written.
Right. No, I haven't checked out Evangelion yet. It's one of those animes I just keep putting off.
It's very good. But... yeah, it's definitely at times hard to watch. It's not like a happy-go-lucky anime. A lot of it is just like, but it does have some goofy shit. I mean, there's like a DDR episode where they have to like dance fight, which is pretty fun.
Nice.
Well, some other stuff that happens here and there, but yeah, definitely. If you want an example of well-written, flawed characters, a lot of well-written characters are
flawed.
Yeah, are just like super flawed.
I mean, they should be, right? Like a good character is not a good character if it's not a real person. A real person has flaws.
Yeah, like we can contrast to we were talking about how well written the characters of Haikyuu are.
Yeah,
and they're not necessarily flawed, but they're still very well written. They're well written in like a nice, like fun way.
I think
they do have flaws though.
That's exactly what I was gonna say.
Kaguya was kind of like a little bit abrasive, and then you got like Hinata's a little bit too childish. You got Tsukishima, who's a little like he's very also abrasive, but also just not passionate about the game, and like these are flaws. Yeah, these are a lot of flaws that like get highlighted when you watch Haikyuu, and they generally work off these flaws essentially.
Yeah, more like the settings is more lighthearted than the flaws itself.
Yeah.
So yeah, the consequences of the flaws are less dire.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, totally. But I will wrap up my rant here, and I'll pass off finally to Bad Rice. Who did you pick?
For a while I was thinking I was gonna pick Dororo, character from there, because that show is pretty well written. The characters feel very human. But to me, I was trying to think what is probably the most human like anime character I've seen, and first thing that came to mind was Slain, but Adnoa Zero sucked, so I'm not gonna pick that. Slain, however, was an amazingly well-written character, just because he was just very human, and like he made mistakes in all these other aspects, and his flaws were very like they had the correct, in my opinion, the more realistic response for all of his mistakes. He would go like he would have a breakdown here and there, and it was good, but it wasn't what I think would be the best. And it came to mind, I just thought of Haruhiro from Grimgar. And Grimgar is a series that is always just like, it wasn't amazing, but the show really stuck. And it wasn't because of the colorful watercolor backgrounds that they would always have. It wasn't, the random fan service that they jammed in the show. It was really just like the character development and the world building was on a different level. And Haruhiro, he goes through not to spoil it completely, but he goes through a death in his team, and the way the characters all responded to that death felt more relatable than any anime I've seen, and it's always stuck with me after that because I've always think back to how the characters went through this, the recovery of that death. It wasn't a simple we don't have time to think about this guy, we gotta fight this war, or we gotta a random fucking tsundere character smacks him over the head and says get over it and all that shit, and he gets over it. No, it's they go through a series of mourning. They have these depressive episodes. Even after they've kind of moved on, it still comes back here and there, and they really touch on it here throughout the middle to the end of the series. And just overall, the way that the characters just kind of grow, it really actually starts to this death is used to kind of show how the characters grow. It sets a bit of a checkpoint, and eventually, as you watch the episode, you see different things appear out of each character. You see the really annoying or abrasive guy slowly start to calm it down a bit and consider others, empathize a bit. You see this really quiet giant guy start to open up about himself and explain how he felt about it. And it's character writing like that makes me really just brings out the real human nature in the way the characters were written. And Haruhiro himself goes from kind of a straggler type of character where he's only along for the ride because he doesn't have a choice, to taking almost a leadership role to a degree. And there's a bit of a struggle in the way that he takes it, but overall, I think the way that the anime laid it out, it was probably the best character development I've seen in an anime. Though, you could make arguments for some of the slower moments being a negative to the experience itself. But yeah, that would be my pick, Haruhiro from Grimgar of Fantasy and Ash. I would highly suggest people take a look at that anime if you like isekais, because it's just a more dark and more adult version of Sword Art.
Oh,
it's 12 episodes long.
Pretty short, beautiful watercolor art.
Mm-hmm.
The art style, I'll give you an example of something that I really liked about it in terms of world building. Crits. Critical attacks. You see them in fucking shows. Usually they show my blade feels extra sharp. I'm gonna slash him extra hard or some shit like that. But in Grimgar, it's almost like a slowed down moment where the character can kind of see a line that they can hit, and the way that they kind of it's almost like an instinctual feeling that they know if they hit the spot, it'll do a little bit more damage. And so this show kind of really set it up and built this really cool world that's kind of like a video game, without sacrificing the realism to a degree.
It's got the video game element stuff, throwing the HUD directly into the story.
Yeah, there's no HUD, there's no items, there's no rare items. It's just cool. This is a fucking sword and this is a fucking dagger, and this is how you
that's a goblin.
That's a goblin. You gotta stab, and then it's kill or be killed, and you gotta kill that motherfucker. And
wow, that's pretty cool.
I like
it's
it.
a really cool show, but it's slow.
When I first watched Grimgar, I wasn't super high on it, but then over time, after I let it kind of simmer in my mind for a bit, it did grow on me. It does have those kind of rare moments that for a relatively short 12 episode kind of unknown isekai, as Bedray said, it does have a couple powerful episodes where you see a lot of really well written characters come to light. Definitely super cool show.
Oh, well, look at that. Okay. Now we got shows. All of us got shows to watch now. All of us got homework now.
Yeah. gotta catch up, and then in a couple of weeks, we'll be like, "Hey, what have you learned? Do you still think your character is the best? Have you changed your mind?" But I think that sums all of us up here. If everybody else has any kind of closing remarks they want to add.
No, I'm good.
All right,
the more I thought about it, I don't know why I was thinking about this, but what was I gonna say? Mayushi is such a good character. Like you guys pointed out, like the best in characters, like the human aspects, and when Kevin said, "What's the most human character I've seen in a show?" Mayushi. And Steins Gate, like she is like the victim of everybody else's actions, but the way she reacts to it it's beautiful. I think she's one of my favorites. I don't know. She just came to my mind. I was like, why didn't I put that in? Mayushi is it's just a good character, man. She's well written. Maybe you may think like she's not very she's not a very reactive character. Like she's a very she's not a very proactive character. She's a very reactive character to what's happening around her. But the way she reacts to it just adds a little bit, adds the layer of realism,
Right.
So that was my closing remark.
I agree.
Yeah, definitely.
Miyushi is just a really well built character. Especially when she tries to, you get that glimpse into why she has the kind of childish responses she does when she tries to explain it, and it's a pretty fleshed out character in my opinion. She's from Saikano. Isn't that is it the Tsunade? Ray? Yo, what? All right. Well, anyway.
And all the talk from great characters is just made me wanna watch more anime. It always does. It's like you talk about a character, you're like, man, I really want to watch that anime.
Alrighty. Well, we're gonna check my notes here.
I was also
sorry. What was that?
I was also low-key gonna pick Okabe, but I just felt like when you compare him to he's good.
Yeah.
So by all means, he's a good character, but he's not amazing. That's for sure.
Yeah.
I was even gonna pick Subaru from ReZero. The show isn't that great, but the character, the mental breakdowns that he goes through, or also he describes this shouldn't be happening. Why am I being killed this way and this way and this way? And it's unfair, and what kind of sadistic bullshit am I dealing with? And it's just the way his character was written was also pretty well done.
Yeah, I'll also add, if you want to check it out, there's an anime called Monster. It is 74 episodes. It aired in 2004. So old, but I mean not before the 90s or whatever, right? But this is a character-driven anime.
Okay.
This is a show that I haven't seen in a while, so I didn't really feel confident talking about it. But it is such a slow burn, and it's really about two characters. And really, when you're writing these two characters for 74 episodes, it's got to be good, or you're not going to finish it, right? So if you want to see a really heavily character-driven show with some really great writing, check out Monster. The gist of it, I'll give you a small synopsis. There is a doctor who is a very skilled surgeon. He ends up saving a child from a mugging, or I can't remember exactly how he got injured, but got injured as a child. And then later that child grows up to be a serial killer.
Oh,
he feels guilty thinking that because I saved this kid, those murders are on my hands. So he goes on a journey to like right his wrong. And it's very interesting.
So you're telling me this is an anime about the priest that saved Hitler from drowning?
Basically.
Gee.
I didn't even know that there was a priest that saved Hitler from drowning.
It's one of those like myths, that gets passed around like.
But yeah, it definitely adds a lot of like philosophical stuff about like, is that his fault? Should he feel guilty? But also like you get to see this like guy who is a virtuous good person, a doctor who saves lives, a surgeon, go down this dark path to try and right some wrong that he felt that he did. But you also get to see the dark, twisted mind of the serial killer and just like how the he works. And I think they're both super well-written characters. It is a very slow burn of a show, let me tell you. It is probably the slowest burn show I've ever watched in my entire life. It is almost hard to get through. But I mean, if you like, if well-written characters is your kind of anime, I mean, this has to be like maybe the like ultimate version of that.
Can I put a request out there for all of us here in the podcast and for the viewers at home? I just want all of us to just these are great talks and all, but I would like us to take like a moment or two out of our days, not tonight, maybe tomorrow, whatever, but just put the list of the animes that we talked on Discord, and so the viewers at home can reference it back again.
Yeah, sure. I will do that right now. But I think we're gonna wrap up for tonight. So I'm gonna pass it off to Kazo to take us away.
Thank you so much, Offbeat. So that being said, I wish we had more time to talk about because all these topics into itself, because we have a lot to say, obviously. But for those of you guys in attendance, thank you guys for tuning into our F Tier podcast. For those who may have missed out on today's episode, I'll be putting out on YouTube so that you guys can catch it. Thank you to Thicc Churro, Bad Rice, Offbeat, and our special guest Milla for taking part in today's episode. I really appreciate your contributions and look forward to making more episodes with you guys in the future. So I'd like to give another special shout out to Humble Greek for the follow, BZN for as a new sub. Thank you for that though, courtesy of Thicc Churro, and Ray, BZN, Bad Rice, Mean Bean, and all you guys trying to get me to say those two words. Which I'm so far I'm doing pretty good, except that first the freebie, but otherwise I'm I. For those of you guys watching though, thank you guys for your support. Please be sure to follow our Discord for more announcements as we try to make this awesome segment even more awesome than usual. So if you want to check out for more information, for anything regarding this episode and or anything in particular about Ichi Gaming, my name's Kazo. Please be sure to look at other on our social, which is Ichi Gaming on Twitch and Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. I'm pretty much open for all things considered. Just be sure to give a shout when you can. And by the rest of the guys out here, if you really want to find them, starting with Thicc Churro, where can we find you, sir?
I very sporadically stream over at Twitch, Twitch TV/Thicc_Churro. Sometimes I stream, sometimes when I do have the time. This week hasn't been so gracious, but we'll see over the weekend.
Awesome. And Bad Rice, where can we find you if for some reason we can't find you?
Well, you probably can't find me, so let's keep it at that.
Okay. Thank
He's
you.
the man behind the curtain.
Just like what VZN said, it's like, is a Bad Rice a naughty sack of rice? Who knows? And continuing off, we have Offbeat here. Where can we find you, sir?
Yes, you can find me on Twitch, offbeat_hero. You can find me on the same tag on Twitter as well as on YouTube. I make Magic Gathering content, mostly modern. My next stream will probably involve a 90 card deck because we're fucking around, we're memeing. 60 is old news, 80 is old news. We're going 90 cards.
Are you doing anything for Strixhaven?
I mean, specifically,
Yeah, I mean, with this
playing-
tomorrow.
we'll be playing some Strix cards, some new cards. There's some fun new additions to the Taxes archetype.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Whether they're good enough or not, still huge debate among the Taxes Discord server. But I mean, we're gonna try it out, see how it goes, and I mean, maybe I'll figure out that they're bad, and you guys won't have to buy them. So I'll
There we
save your
go.
money on your dumb cardboard.
Shoot. Awesome. And last but not least, we have our special guest, Milla. Thank you once again for joining our episode here. And for those who want to see more of you, if there is any, where can we find you?
You might find me once every 3 hours in the background of a certain streamer like this.
Hey!
Guest appearance.
That's awesome.
Or you'll find me probably every week in the chat box of this podcast.
Ooh.
Yeah.
There you go.
Much appreciated. And thank
Mila's
you again.
A regular, you know.
Yeah, we got ourselves a fan over here.
Yeah.
President
Look at
F tier
that!
fan.
I mean, once a fan, now on the show, anything is possible.
You
Right.
can be next.
Oh,
From
damn.
rags to riches.
Let's go. And once again, remember, you got nothing to lose when you're at the bottom, because you got, well, if anything else though, there is no fear in F tier. Take care, guys.
Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.